Hey, welcome to the Strategic Success Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Fricky. Thanks for tuning in. If you're wanting to learn more about how to do a subject to deal as a real estate investor, don't rely on a 60-second TikTok. Come to one of my workshops. I have my next one scheduled on Saturday, May 17th in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. It's offered both in person with limited seats as well as online, especially I know we're going to max out the in-person. So with that being said, this workshop is where I deep dive my concept of safe subject to. Because there's no such thing as a 100% safe subject to deal, but how can you do one as safely as possible? And so this is where I deep dive the process, the paperwork, the due diligence, how to run the numbers, and then when to pull the trigger. You know, what makes something a good deal versus one that you should maybe not say yes to. You definitely want to come check this workshop out if you have interest. Maybe you've already been doing subject to deals and you want to learn more. Go to CourtneyFricky.com to either get your in-person or online ticket today.
Welcome back to a conversation with Courtney Fricky and I. This is our real estate segment where we have Jordan Sibley here, team leader of the Keller Williams Mandeville Market Center.
Yes.
And the Hammond Business Center. Do you lump all that
Correct.
together?
Yeah.
Go lump together.
Yep.
So before we get too much into the weeds on difficult deals and how you market yourself, I want to talk about you as an individual, as a human, as a person, because you are all those things, and a mom, and a husband, and a real estate agent, and a team leader at Keller Williams. So we met.
I'm a wife.
He's a wife.
Did I say a wife?
Yeah, you said a husband.
Wife,
I was like, her mom who has a husband.
Yeah.
I was like, what was he meaning with that?
The audience would have rolled with it, but that's okay.
Sorry.
Again, squirrel-ass dude.
Squirrel.
Let's go.
So we first met 8 years ago at Bold at Keller Williams event.
Yes.
And we were both getting into the business together. And we've come a long way, both of us, since then.
We have.
So let's talk about how you got into the industry.
So, funny enough, my husband is a second generation realtor, and so am I.
Are you guys from the area?
We are. We are both from Slidell.
Gotcha.
Oh, the Dirty Dell. So am I.
The Dirty Dell. Good Lord.
You know, most people don't lead with that foot forward, but guess what?
We're doing it. I love it. So my dad was a realtor and a real estate developer in the 70s, and he turned into a contractor from there. But my husband's dad was a very successful realtor in St. Tammany Parish for 40 years. So neither my husband nor I had any desire to get into real estate sales.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to invest, rental property, grow a portfolio. Neither of us had a itch to do that. But unfortunately, his dad passed away of a massive heart attack.
Oh,
wow.
Completely out of the blue. About 14 or 15 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So it left a big void in the family business.
It left a huge void because although his sister is also an agent, she was living in another state at the time.
Gotcha.
So my husband's desire was really just to help close up loose ends.
Yeah.
And then stick with his corporate job.
Yeah.
Well, he became very successful very quickly in his first year, left his corporate job. 2 years later, I'm going, I really kind of like all these things you're talking about. I'm really enjoying this process. I think I could do a great job. So then I followed suit.
Wow.
And that's how I got in. But my background's in marketing.
Okay.
Well, that's probably helpful. But so he 16 years ago, were y'all together whenever he decided to take that step?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to go through the whole journey with him.
The whole thing.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
So
yes.
That's so interesting. So he jumped into the real estate and the realtor side.
Yep.
But was there also development that he also...
He owned one rental property at the time.
Okay.
And his dad and mom also had a big rental property portfolio. So he's like, I need to get my license, not just to tie up these loose ends, but to help my family manage this estate of investment properties. And then just before we knew it, we literally were like looking around like, whoa, we're both realtors and we're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to his credit, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, but he got thrown in the deep end and did well.
I figured it out, yeah.
Right? And so there's something to be said of that because, the deep end is not fun to get thrown into.
No, it's real scary.
Sure.
So was Keller Williams the company that y'all both started with?
We did, because his dad was also with Keller Williams in Slidell. and some other smaller brokerages before that, but we started with KW in Slidell. Then we built a team in the Keller Williams office in Metairie because we lived in Lakeview for 13 years. And he is still a producing agent out of the Metairie office, and I'm now team leader and CEO of the brokerage in Mandeville.
Yeah. You see, because I've obviously heard of you for a long time. I'm, I'm from the North Shore, but I'm currently living on the South Shore. But I feel like I'm on the North Shore all the time. And so definitely have heard of your impact in the Metairie office, and then love seeing what you're doing now. And so as far as today, what does your today look like with you and your husband?
Yeah, so it's actually a really great dynamic because we spent 6 years together in production, building a team, doing a lot of volume, all the things. And then I started to be pulled towards something that gave me so much more fulfillment, which was educating agents within the office, because Keller Williams blessed both of us with its incredible training, technology, coaching systems and models. And I just started to get so much fulfillment from sharing with other agents what had been shared with me. And that just became my calling. So I became a coach in the Metairie office first, and then I became team leader. And I truly feel that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. So I mean, from people who join Keller Williams, sit with Keller Williams, are diehard Keller Williams fans. Yeah. And I think that Gary Keller has done a great job of making it very clear what the values are, the why. What is it? Y2C4?
Y4C2T.
I'll never try to repeat. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'll never try to repeat it.
So there's that. Those are the values, acronym for the values. And then there's also the bold laws that are clearly on the wall in the back of the Mandeville Market Center.
Yep.
When I first got into this business, I, again, went to bold. I really wanted to understand how agents thought, what they wanted, how they thought. That's why I read the MRAA and got really ingrained in the systems that they put together. And I realized how much I aligned from a value standpoint.
Yeah.
And so you'll find some agents who'll come to Keller Williams and then they'll get the training and they'll go off and leave, but they end up coming back. What about Keller Williams has kept you around for so long in an industry where people leave all the time?
Yeah. And it's why I tell people I'm completely unrecruitable. And it has nothing to do with real estate. It's because this company has taught me just as much on the personal development side as it has on the business development. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better friend. I'm a better leader because of what this company has taught me. And that can't be matched anywhere else. To
that point, I'll say, I've worked with a lot of different brokerages, and by and large, when I got, brought into the Keller Williams world to either teach at a brokerage or I worked with different Keller Williams folks, I learned that I was stepping into a world that had its own language. It was clearly defined, like all the things you talked about. I know what those are. I'm not a licensed agent, and I'm definitely not like a licensed agent with Keller Williams, right? But I know that those, I have understanding of what those mean. Maybe not, to the extent that you do, but at the same time, it's like the message is clear.
Yes.
And there's something to be said about a clear message. And I can see how agents respond well to that culture, especially you guys as someone who trains with agents and stuff. I appreciate you guys' training arm, because it is something that I know it can be lacking.
Oh, yes. And like you mentioned, some people,
places,
I've even had other brokers tell me, we want to send our agents to y'all to learn how to do real estate, then they can come join us. And I take no offense to that. If anything, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
But I also say, if you're saying that they're going to stop learning and then move on, that scares me, because life never stops teaching.
No. I am very leery of the person who stops being a student.
Yep.
One of my biggest mentors, he's been investing since 1965. He's 77. I did 9 deals with him last year, and he doesn't even live in Louisiana. Okay.
That's amazing.
The guy is a machine.
Yeah.
He has been in a workshop, seminar, whatever, for every single month since 1965.
Yep.
And so as many times I've heard him speak on a stage, just as many he has sat next to me, and he is the most prolific note taker. And I'm like, Pete, you have done thousands of deals, and you're over there writing to your hand
feverishly
falls
scribbling,
off, right? Like, and I'm just
we all know
saying,
the industry changes so often
Yes.
that, and I think that there's having a strong culture like Keller Williams has is like when you have a moment in time like we have right now where it's not easy to be in real estate right now.
Right.
Having a culture you can lean back on and a family that you feel like is there to support you is a big deal. You know, the smaller brokerages have great things. They can be agile and they've got other benefits, but whenever the times get tough to have other people in the trenches with you that are going to go through that, having your back is super important. And again, I've seen agents leave and come back because they need that support and they like the culture. So, I mean, I always enjoy being at the Keller Williams office. I mean, it's every time you go there, I feel like I'm around friends more than I'm sitting there and being around people that I'm trying to sell to.
Yeah.
And at one point, I told Miss Linda this, that you couldn't get through the front door at Keller Williams in Mandeville unless you had unless you had a reason to be there. But once you become part of the group, like they welcome you in because they know that you're, you align in a bunch of ways.
Yeah.
My point of bringing up the story with Pete, though, is that, like, I get worried with people who think, oh, well, I was an agent in 2008 or, I was in real estate in 2008. I know what's going on in today's market.
Right.
But yes, none of us do.
No, it's always changing.
It's always changing. And the point of that is like, I'm always looking to be among learners, right?
Yes.
Because that helps improve me. And so, so I appreciate the culture you guys bring there. And obviously as a team leader, you are the ringleader of really spearheading that culture.
Absolutely.
And things along those lines. So I want to transition into real estate is not rocket science, but it is surely not easy.
Yep.
Especially in today's market. So talk to me about, in this changing market, how are you leading your agents through a difficult changing market?
So the answer to that in any market is, make no mistake, you are in the relationship business and you happen to sell real estate.
I love it.
I used to own a Pilates studio. I was in the relationship business first, and I happened to teach Pilates. So many agents get into the business for that quick deal.
Sure.
But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. One client, one transaction could be worth millions of dollars in compensation when you maintain that relationship and they refer you all over the place, all over the country. They could give you referrals or ask for your advice to refer them out. So when times are tough, it's, how many people did you talk to about real estate today? How many gratitude calls did you make to your clients to let them know how much you cared about them, how much you enjoyed the transaction, and would they be so kind to refer you to anybody else who might have a real estate need?
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then you're always going to ride the real estate roller coaster of the market's great, oh, now it's not.
Yeah. It's thinking long term.
Yes.
So when I think about, 2025, so 2022, when the rates started going up, 23, 24, 25, we've been on this wave for a minute now.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have been, it's kind of the narrative, right? Things are not easy, right?
Yeah.
All that. But one of the biggest things that I find is that when people can think long term, they can get out of looking at the kind of like the micro of today. And if they can look at and say, hey, let me think long term. Like, you know what? This is just for a season. It always bounces back. I can't say when. And so I love that you're saying, hey, go back to the basics.
Yes.
Hit in the reps.
But I also think the other thing that agents missed out on, and I think that they're realizing now, and if you can stick around for a little bit longer, like the idea that you're just like an inch away from striking gold, like we've gone through a lot of stuff in the past 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
If you, like Courtney's saying, like you're saying, continue to take the steps you're supposed to do. But also, as the business starts coming back around, making sure you're putting yourself in a better position for whenever it goes back to where it is today. And I think people missed that. They thought in 2022 that it was just going to continue to do this.
Right.
And it was never going to level out. But they also people are talking now that, the market's going to get better, and they think they're going to have this exponential upturn, when the reality is that after the 10-year cycles in real estate, 10, 15-year cycles, at this point, we're at the bottom of the market, but it's not going to turn around tomorrow. It's going to gradually get better, but it's going to get better, but it's going to gradually get better. And so you have to put yourself in the right position on the next cycle to be ready for this downturn. And then you have to do like you're saying, Jordan, every single day continuing to just do the things you know you're supposed to do, which is the beauty of directing people all the way to go back to the MREA.
Yes.
There's always cycles in your business where that book is going to apply. You read it one time when the market's going nuts and going crazy and successful and it's hot. There's going to be parts of that book that'll apply. It's also going to apply whenever the market goes down, just maybe a different part of the book. And they've got the book like Shift you can read too. And so
that was my favorite one to read.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're also important. But if you know your numbers and you go back to the basics and you continue to have real estate conversations or just conversations in general to ask the right questions, you're going to have some level of success. You might not have 2021 numbers all the time, but you're always going to be making progress. And so, and again, going back to Keller Williams, the culture's great, the training's great, and going back to just always be learning, like you said earlier, and then always be doing the small things you're supposed to do every day in order to continue your business to grow.
Yeah. The simple disciplines.
And as you mentioned, like what are we doing with agents that are just really struggling in this market is you have to remember the business and the market share that you take in a shifting market, you're going to keep that.
Yep.
The people who just jump into being realtors because the market's fruitful, you've already taken so much market share because you've been in the trenches and you've stayed in relationship with these people so that when the market's good, they're coming to you.
Yeah.
Not the person who just ran and got their license because they thought it was easy.
So in a similar concept, I mean, I was reading some of the earnings reports from one of the largest builders in the nation.
Yeah.
And they literally said, margin be damned, we're keeping pace.
Yeah.
Because what do they say? Like, hey, like not every market's home runs. But guess what? If we can consistently get out there and we're still doing business, our name will still be out there. You know, like it's one of those things when people sit on the sidelines, I mean, you're not top of mind. Your skills can grow, soft and things like that. And so, one of my favorite things to study is people who've been through different changing markets.
Yeah.
In 10 years in business, this is my first changing market.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we can't, 2008 won't tell us the blueprint for today, but guess what? If I study what they had to do during that time, who they had to become. So I actually pulled Shift out recently. I thrift 95% of my books and I got a limited edition. It's black and whatever covered, not the whatever.
The white and red one.
I don't know. It's just, I know it's a limited edition copy, but the inside,
special.
But the inside of the cover has copies of emails that Gary sent to Keller Williams from 2007, 2008 and different things.
Awesome.
And I was reading where he was like literally giving what he was doing is giving vision and breathing vision, because we are, as human, we can get very micro. But one of the biggest, how do people endure pain when they stop thinking about the micro? Like my feet hurt when I'm running. Well, then start thinking about something else, right? Or like bring the vision out greater. Like, hey, if I can get through this, get through these next 15 steps, it's going to get easier.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're doing a mile. And next thing you know, like it's one of those things where that vision is ultimately what's breathing. People will either live and grow and succeed through vision, or without it, as the good book says, they will perish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's having a mindset of scarcity versus a mindset of abundance. And as humans, we innately have that mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
And trust me, having a mindset of abundance is a learned skill.
Yeah.
And the realtors that have that abundant mindset are the ones that are going to stay successful no matter what the market brings.
So let me ask you this. So like we're talking about how agents can get through this tough market and things that Keller Williams is offering now. Why is it so important to invest in something like Bold when you're in this position in the market? Even more so than whenever you're having a great market and everything's working out.
Yeah. So we mentioned the BOLD course, which stands for Business Objective, a Life by
Still need to do
Design.
that.
Yeah, it's coming up next week. A life by design, not a life by default. And the reason that course is so powerful is, again, it's 50% personal development, 50% business development. And when you learn that you are the architect of your life, you're not the subcontractor following plans. You are the architect of your life. And you are in control. You're not in control of the market. You can't control interest rates. You can't control acts of God. You can't control insurance premiums, but you can control your actions and how you respond to the market. And Bold teaches you to do that. So it's more important than ever that agents focus on the personal development side, which then again enhances the business development.
Yeah.
I think that's so huge. So, Because at the end of the day, this market is either happening to you or happening for you.
Yes.
And ultimately, like, regardless of how people feel the state of our country, and without getting into all that, this morning I got on Facebook and I was just like, okay, I gotta get off, because it was so many people who were like, either woe is me or like whatever. And it's like going back to this whole, your life is your fault.
Yes.
Extreme ownership.
Extreme ownership. Exactly. And so it's one of those things where, whether it is a difficult time in your life, whether it is a difficult real estate market, whether it is whatever, insert whatever difficult phase, difficult season. You could be going through divorce. You could be going through whatever.
Sure.
And if it's how are you carrying that? Is that your whole identity? Is that the only thing you focus on? Or are you like, hey, like it's what are you moving through that season with?
And sometimes it's not necessarily a catastrophic event. It could be 3 kids, start a business, and have a mortgage, and have all the other stuff that's just piled on your plate. It's just a constant grind.
Yeah.
But kind of like 75 hard is similar to bold, right? It's almost a shock to the system. 75 hard is the challenge where you have like 6 rules that you have to follow every day: 2 workouts, drink a gallon of water, pray, read a book, and take a picture, a progress picture every day. Like, and I'm doing that. The
prayer
right
is
now.
not one of it, but you added that bit.
It is. It's not prayer. It's read 10 pages. Said that one already.
Okay, you can say.
Yeah. Well, whatever the rules are, it could be praise God.
He added a 7th one.
Yeah. But again, the 75 hard, it's a shock to the system to remind yourself that you can do something hard, but also reprioritize your fitness as a priority for you, right? And so same with bold, right? Bold is almost a shock to the system. It's 6-week course every Thursday. They're going to be there whether you want to or not. You should be, and they're going to teach you how to readjust the priorities that you have in your life so that you can make sure that you're moving in the right direction. I've done bold twice. Even if you're not a real estate agent, all the things apply to you.
If you're in the relationship business, bold is for you.
It's for you.
So I've heard great things about it. Like I said, I've been wanting to do it at some point.
Yeah.
And so I love that you guys open it up to not just
Everyone's
Keller Williams agents,
invited.
but so other real estate agents who may not be at Keller Williams.
There's
can be.
tons of agents from other brokerages that take
I love
bold,
that.
and our doors are always open. Any class that is offered in my market center is open to everyone, because collaboration is greater than competition. And again, it's the mindset of abundance, not scarcity.
So I love that, because anytime I've taught at a Keller Williams, that has often been the rule.
Yeah.
And look, oftentimes there's lunch provided. So like there's actual like cost to you being there type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love that you guys open it up, because you're like, look, this is for the betterment of the community, the real estate community. Right. And if one of you is better, we're all better. Right. Because of that. And so I love you guys, how you guys truly do lead in the sense of when it comes to education, you guys' culture, your mindset, all of those things. I love you guys' what is that? The day that you guys go and help? And
Red Day.
The Red Day.
Yeah.
Man, I remember I had this like crazy situation where I went into someone's house in Mandeville, and they hadn't had power for 18 months, and they were living in Mandeville, living in this house. And I remember Red Day was coming up, and I made a phone call, and y'all were ready to just jump in and advocate and help in this situation. We ended up going a different route with helping that seller in that situation. But I just remember I knew that you guys were helpers that I could call on.
Yeah.
Right? When it came to advocating for the community. I love it when, is it called Keller Williams Care?
Yeah,
whenever
we have
there's like a
KW
hurricane.
Cares. Yeah.
Yeah, and like stuff like that. I mean, I can respect the organization, and so, and I think right now, because you were a team lead in Metairie, right?
Yes.
And then now in Mandeville, man, for the last few years, it has not been easy to lead in the real estate industry, and so, can you speak to basically other people in the industry who are in a leadership position? Maybe they are a team lead at a different Keller Williams, or maybe they are a leader of a brokerage or a leader of a team or whatever. What advice would you give leading through these difficult times when it comes to, look, a lot of people are questioning their why. In this market, obviously it's a prolonged market, but just in general, any advice you have? Hey guys, Courtney Fricky here. We've got Aussie Steve,
And look, if you have a deal that needs to get moved, Southeast Louisiana, even in South Mississippi, we're your folks. We are the largest dispo company, really in the greater New Orleans area, even Southeast Louisiana. We have great contacts in South Mississippi as well. Steve, why do we move more deals than others?
Just we're very deep in this market, so Greater New Orleans can be really confusing for national wholesalers. The comps are hard. We change block for block. We got flood zones. We get a lot of hurricanes and the likes, and just a lot of the national platforms don't have the buyers on their list. So we are deep with buyers, but we're deep with relationships, which is really important in this market. So we love JVing with out-of-state investors.
Like I said, we do a ton of business with other investors. So go to homebuyerlouisiana.com/Courtney, fill out the information, we'll get in touch with you and we'll move this deal along.
Absolutely. So for any leader, remember that leadership is about teaching people how to think so that they can get what they want when they want it. So as a leader, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is tell an agent what they should be doing. What powerful questions can you ask that agent, that human, to self-discover why being in the business is important to them, why helping this seller have a win-win deal is the most important. So as a leader, are you teaching your people how to think? And if I had to boil it down even further, it would be, are you teaching people to ask great questions? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I'm a team leader, but make no mistake, my real role is a coach. And as a coach, I'm helping my agents read the label from outside of the jar, because the agents are inside of the jar and they know there's a label on the outside, but they're having problems identifying what's going on with my business or what's going on with my dialogues that I'm saying to buyers that are causing me to lose the deal. Are you able to coach them in such a way that you can remain so neutral that they feel so safe coming to you because you know their goals and you want them to reach those goals even more than they do? You have to show your agents how much you care about their goals as a coach and a leader.
We just had that we had another conversation before you got here, and that was as a real estate team leader, they have their own team. They realized, so it was a huge shift for them to realize that helping somebody else hit their goals is going to be a lot more powerful than giving somebody a goal and trying to force them to meet the goal that you've given them. So I think that's great advice. So let's pivot to the last part of this conversation. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. It's marketing. And this is from a higher level. This is a podcast and a show where we're going to be helping business owners become better business owners.
Yep.
And you have several different hats that you've worn in your life, and your family has several different hats. And so I would love to know about how your mindset on marketing and any of the areas of what you do. So as a somebody who runs a brokerage, marketing to agents, somebody who has been a real estate agent, whose husband is still a real estate agent, somebody who is helping their agents market themselves.
Yep.
What is your philosophy on marketing and your stance on how you can help people get more business?
So when it comes to marketing and actually spending money on it, the big thing that we coach our agents on is, does your marketing piece have a MOFR? What's a MOFR? Make offer for immediate response. Don't go buy a print ad that's a quarter page of you standing there with a sold sign. That's great for brand awareness. But why should I call you? What if there's a QR code on your ad that says, scan here for a complimentary home valuation? That's a MOFR. Now I can track to see if the ad dollars I spent on that print ad are actually converting.
Nice.
And returning me, making a return on my investment. So that's a big thing, is if you're going to market, no matter what you're doing, even if you're a lender and you're going to provide food for a broker open, what is the MOFR? Why should people call you instead of them? And teaching agents the mindset around that.
People tune into one radio station and one radio station only. I always get the acronym wrong, but it's what's in it for me. Event, right? It's that concept of like, great, you sold XYZ. But how does that apply to me?
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me.
How do I know, like that sure might talk about, that might talk about your, the fact that you're doing business repeatedly and you're a top producer. Like, I get that. But at the same time, people all day long, they're gonna be like, okay, but that's like they're
just
at
like
that
every
point.
other ad that's in the magazine.
Well, it might just be like, hey, that's money in your pocket. Great. But how does that put money in my pocket?
Sure.
Because how many plumbers are out there on Facebook and Instagram going, I unclogged 23 toilets today.
Yeah.
they don't talk about that. And that's why it always kills me. It's a blessing that agents talk about their production. That is huge. And again, what's in it for the consumer?
Yeah.
Great.
It is, you're showing your credibility by doing that. But I do agree with you. Oh, at a certain point, you're not adding any value to anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you said. Like whenever you're putting that QR code for somebody to click on it and go there and get something, you're adding value to the consumer.
Yes.
As opposed to just like you said, showing what you've done and showing your accolades. It's not grabbing anybody's attention to make them want to take action and have a reason to reach out to you any different than anybody else that they've seen.
So one of my business partners has a great spin on this. He does volume. And so instead of just being like, constantly talking about the volume, now this is a little bit old school, ordered off of like eBay, like one of those Coke can, film, recorders or whatever. And he has one on a selfie stick and he literally will do a vlog. So when we buy houses, he will do a vlog of this is how I overcame objections. This is how I solved a certain problem. And he tells the story. And then he puts it up on his YouTube. His YouTube is seller facing, and it is literally story after story of how he overcame whatever hurdle. Maybe it was, hey, we were on a contract to close, and a week before we went to close, we found out a pipe burst, and we talked through that. It could be, this house had fire damage, and so we bought it as is, no utilities on this, like whatever the nature of the situation was, because then people would be like, wait, I've got a property that I inherited that has issues like that. And so that can pull the client in. And so it's not a problem. Like your volume isn't the problem. It's how you're talking about it.
Yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Sure. Bring it home.
So maybe you say, your pictures in the magazine and it says, I helped 43 first-time homeowners realize the gift of homeownership this year.
Yeah.
Scan this QR code for my home buyer guide.
So you can be the next one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
But you added value there. But I also think that one of the things that agents miss sometimes is that they don't really know who their ideal client is.
True.
They don't want to limit who they're doing business with, so they don't want to define who that person is. So then they market in a whole bunch of different ways, and they're not being intentional and direct about reaching to a specific person. And so, I've had agents come and tell me like that my ideal client, and after us having a little bit of conversation and dialogue and me helping them identify their ideal client, they said, well, my ideal client's a 45 to 60-year-old woman who, and I like, what do they do for fun? They like to go buy shoes and go buy clothes. Like, well, go to the boutique and take a couple of pictures of some shoes and some clothes and say, hey, this is where the deals are at. Post that on your page. And now your ideal client goes to your page and you're marketing directly to who your ideal client is. Then go to the lady behind the register and say, hey, I love your store. Let me take a picture of you and talk about who you are on my page. Now you're promoting them. So next time they have somebody who mentions they might be buying a house, or you say, well, you should reach out to my friend. So you're adding advocates to your team. So, and similarly, if you're looking for first-time home buyers, the magazine ad that says, hey, get my home buyer guide here.
Yeah.
That allows you to speak directly to who you're looking for. But if you're looking for somebody who's buying their second or third home, you're not going to market in that magazine and maybe at that location. And so I think that agents miss that process of identifying their ideal client to understand what the issues are that are between their ideal client and what they want, and then being able to solve that problem.
Well, it's about shooting with specificity instead of shooting with generality. Because even if you go after that specific target, you will still get
100%.
the generality. But if you go for everyone, you're not likely to get the specificity that you want in your ideal client.
Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything in life that you want if you help enough people get what they want. He also said, you can have anything, but you cannot have everything.
Yeah.
And so my question for you, so Jared, anytime you and I have interviewed real estate agents, there has often been almost a discomfort with the word ideal client among real estate agents. So you as a coach, as a team leader, what are your thoughts on this? Because obviously some people, like any business is a good business, like Courtney, what do you, and I'll be very honest, I was talking with someone who I know they kill it in this certain neighborhood, in this certain area. But I had a property I was looking to sell, and they're more luxury, but this is an area they're very competent in, but it wasn't a luxury property. So I was kind of like, at first I was kind of like, hey, am I rubbing up against something you don't want? Right? And so what are your thoughts on that? Should agents have a niche? Should they have an idea, like an ideal client? What are your thoughts around that topic?
So I think, the beauty of this business is you don't have to work with every client who comes your way. There are some, like for instance, it's kind of funny. My husband happened upon a niche. It really wasn't even intentional, but he has done a lot of business with seniors who are transitioning out of being single family homeowners moving into assisted living.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a really special process they have to go through.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Language, vocabulary, all that.
And John has really focused in on that niche. It doesn't mean that people aren't still calling him to sell the quintessential uptown condo or house in Mandeville. It's that he has a specific set of skills that have been helping the senior community, and that word has spread to other assisted living facilities. So again, it's a mindset of abundance. He knows the other business is going to continue coming if he maintains relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
But specifically, he can still target that senior community and take market share there.
Your process that you build for your business is likely going to be able to handle most of the transactions that come your way, especially in real estate. Like the process is similar no matter whether somebody's buying, selling their
It's
home
mostly
moving.
repeatable.
Yeah, it's mostly repeatable. So like we've similarly built a process for the most difficult transactions. We market those types of things in Courtney's sphere a lot. And then when the cash sale,
When the easy ones come along,
you just plug right into the system and you can run with it. And so, the process you build allows you to market to who you want to market to. And if you build a great enough process, then you can handle pretty much most of the work that comes through your system.
Yeah.
Just like I'm very clear on who the ideal agent is that I want to attract to our brokerage.
Let's talk about that. So you've talked, you wear two different hats. And so for marketing to attract business, so your husband is in production.
Yes.
For you guys is real estate. Is it still a team?
So
Or is it just-
right now it is just him. He'll
Okay,
probably
but
be
you've
growing
had,
it back
you've had
one
a team
day.
in the past.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. And so then you've got the hat that he's, wearing for that. And then what about your hat as team leader? What does that look like for marketing for business for you?
So for me, I don't believe in the word recruiting because it just feels yucky. I believe in attracting, and you can't attract unless you're providing value first.
Yeah.
So my ideal client is a realtor who's looking to grow their business, push through a previous ceiling that they were hitting. And make no mistake, that can be somebody who was stuck at only 3 units a year that wants to get to 10. Doesn't mean that the only person I'm looking after is some $20 million producer.
Yeah.
It means somebody who is learning based that wants to grow in some capacity. That's my ideal person. But if I ever have coffee with an agent that they're like, yeah, I never show up to the brokerage. I only do the required CE on the last day of the year in 30 minutes, and that's me. I'm like, that's wonderful for you. We're not likely an ideal fit, and that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well, and I think that's potentially that's at least my answer to the whole question. Should you have a niche or should you be a generalist? At the bare minimum, you should know who's not a good fit for you.
Yes.
Because that is where, as Gary Keller, I quote this is probably the most common thing I quote from Gary Keller is in the book Shift. He says, unmotivated sellers and buyers in a changing market, a waste of time, money, and effort.
Yes.
And so there's a level there for me. My most, non-ideal client is someone who has no reason, no basis to be selling to someone like me.
Yeah.
And so it's like I tell them all day long, look, I know that my cash is convenient. I know that me being an investor, I can close quick, all these different things. I can buy as is. I know all that's convenient. But if you don't need to sell to me
Yeah.
or have a very specific want to sell
then I
at a
may not be
discount,
for you.
I'm not the right fit. I'm like, look, I promise, just because you want to save, whatever 3 to 6%, whatever the commission may be, I promise you, I'm a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a level there that I promise you. And so that was actually huge for me is most of my conversation with people is determining if we're the right fit for each other up front. And that's actually the easiest part is instead of knowing what my ideal client is, I know who's not.
Yeah.
I can say that more with clarity.
Sure. So, and I want to give you an idea. You might have thought about this already from a realtor standpoint. I think Keller Williams, huge opportunity in this area. Being that you have such a great training program and have the way of bringing up and identifying agents, and I think, and I'll go slow with this. I think that the DISC assessment, the KPA, that right there helps you identify what type of a human being you are, right? a lot of clarity around who you are personally. The training program allows agents to come in and learn how to be agents early on in their career.
Yes.
Being that we're coming out of a hard market, there are some successful older agents in this area that may not want to ride that wave back up and be as busy, that may want to find a transition plan. There's a huge group of young agents at Keller Williams that can come on and help somebody grow their business and take it into the sunset. And creating a succession plan for real estate agents is a completely foreign idea that I haven't seen anybody. I've seen a couple of people do it well, but I think it's a huge opportunity, especially for Keller Williams, being that y'all have such a great training program. You can help be able to profile, for lack of a better word, these young agents to know exactly what type of a system they'll fit well into. So that somebody who's a seasoned agent can really go and have some conversations with several young, high potential people and say, I want you to be the person I groom up to sail me off to the sunset for 10 years. I think there's a huge opportunity for that in this market in general. I think Keller Williams is a great resource for young, very talented people that are hungry, that don't really know the bad habits that we went through. That I'm talking about from 2021, that everybody just kind of like rode the wave and didn't really do the activity. Now the people who are coming in are realizing what it means to work hard in order to be able to pay some bills. Because the market's not great. If you're a successful agent and you want to be able to identify a young agent to help carry your business off to the next phase of your life, I think that y'all have a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, we just had an agent actually purchase the database of a very successful team when they moved out of state. And make no mistake, as a realtor, your only saleable asset is your database. Your database is your data bank. And we do actually have, go figure, a training program for agents that are looking to segue out of the business onto their next, but still earn a fruitful living off of referrals.
100%.
Yeah,
that's great. I think it's great. I think it's great. So, as we wrap up, going into the next quarter, going into this year, I know y'all have this is your first year as the team leader. What are your goals that you've set for you this year as a team leader?
So the big goals that we have are to attract quality to our office, not quantity, and that includes, we call it, you can't open the front door to new people if you don't close the back door to the people you already have. Otherwise, it's
retention matters too.
Retention is so important for us. So does every member of my leadership team every day do something to make sure our agents know that they are loved, they are respected, and valued?
Nice.
That is the overarching goal, is to love on our people and attract more quality people.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be to get $100,000 in our local KW Cares account so that we can not only help on a national level, but hyper locally with our own agents.
Gotcha. And do y'all individually have buckets? Like, does Jordan have her own account that you can donate to?
No. So it's just collectively as the Market Center, as the brokerage.
The Market Center. Cool. And then people can just go online and put money into the account?
Yeah.
Like how do you grow that bucket?
Yeah.
So we actually are working on making our local bucket, it's called We Care, a 501(c), so that it's more easy for people on the outside to donate.
And also beneficial.
Yeah. But they can absolutely contact me or anybody in our office and make a one-time donation to KW Cares. We just helped an agent in California who lost everything in the wildfire. Everything. He's a KW agent out of LA. We just voted to give him $2,500 because he lost his computer. He lost all of his electronics. So having that local We Care account and access to the national KW Cares account, like, we can impact somebody's life.
Yeah. And you guys love to show up, because we know down here in the South, we know what it's like to get hit.
Yeah.
So how can we help you with those goals, Jordan?
So if you ever want to donate to a good cause and know exactly where it's going, KW Cares all the way.
Cool.
Because I can't tell you how many times my husband, myself, my oldest daughter, we've been boots on the ground for relief efforts after natural disasters. And I see exactly where my money's going. Yeah. It's to help buy generators, hot meals, food, water, tarp on a roof. That's huge. It's just to reach out to myself or anybody on my leadership team and donate to KW Cares. And the second thing is if you're an agent or know an agent that's really struggling with their mindset or bursting through a ceiling that they're hitting their head on, hey, introduce them to me. Let's have coffee. Maybe we're a good fit. Maybe we're not, but I'm going to love on them and pour value to them regardless.
I think that's the key. I know that I know you're genuine with that. You're going to help them whether they're a Keller Williams agent or not.
Yes.
Because the industry's gonna be better for it. And I think
Yes.
that says a lot about you. So, well, I appreciate you coming and talking to us today. And what goes by faster than you think.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you did great.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
We appreciate you, Jordan, and we're looking forward to 2025 with you.
Thank y'all both.
Cool.
Likewise.